You guys can hear me well? Yeah? All good? Awesome. No, let me just start saying, like, when I start, I already knew Rethink HR from Europe. I was living in Europe until 9 months ago. And they invited me to come here for the first edition in the US. And they said, Adriano, you have to go. All the cool kids will be there. Coca-Cola will be there. NASA will be there. Siemens, all these guys. So it's going to be very awesome. So let's go. I was very excited to come, actually. And then suddenly she said, like, the FBI will be there as well. I was like, okay, maybe I should have my passport and visa or something just to make sure that I'm kind of legal here. So checked. So that was good. Challenge is going to be very hard for me here. Like the previous presenters made my life very easy and very hard at the same time. I'll start with the hard one. Hard because the bar is here. So lower your expectations. I'm going to do my best here. But easy because the topics that were discussed here, they were discussed in such depth and with such mastery that makes my life really easier moving forward. My presentation is going to be a little bit unstructured. Let me put in a positive note. It's going to be organic, so I'm going to be discussing topics with organic sounds better, right? So let's go with organic. It's going to be very organic, and I'm going to be discussing with you from a different angle. As he mentioned, I'm the head of HR business partners for the corporate side of the bank. So I'm that person in between trying to translate what the business needs to HR and what the HR wants to implement to the business. So I'm an advocate of both. And as my background, I'm a lawyer, but I became HR. So being a lawyer for both sides is not really an easy position to be. But let's start a little bit by explaining who we are, the Inter-American Development Bank. So our goal, our mission is really here, improving lives in Latin America, the Caribbean. Very easy mission, very genuine and very real. So that's our main way to recruit staff as well. We don't have Hollywood helping us, but we have a very strong purpose to help us with that. We are not a private bank, so we're not for profit, but we're also not an NGO. We're not giving money for free. What we are a multilateral development bank funded by countries. So the countries, they have something in common, so they want to work towards a specific goal they have, and they fund the operations of the bank so that we can improve lives in Latin America and the Caribbean through financial and technical support for the countries. We are right now around 2,000 employees, but if you add up the short-term employees, the temporary employees and consultants and so on, we are around 5,000, 6,000 people working for that mission. We have 48 member countries, and our clients include central governments, municipalities, provinces, NGOs, private sector as well. And we had around 23 billion approved financing mobilizations in 2021, just to give an idea of the scale of the operations. And we are currently going through major transformations in our organization. First of all, we have a new people strategy that was created during COVID in 2021 and 2022. So when you read the actual strategy, you're going to see a lot of words, the VUCA vocabulary, volatile, uncertain, complex, all of that. It's there in our people strategy. But we're also undergoing change in leadership. Our president, our CEO just changed as well last year. So we have a new CEO starting. I'm going to touch a little bit on governance later as well. And we have a project of digital transformation. And operational excellence. So we have a lot of transformational projects being led together at the same time. So pretty exciting, pretty challenging as well, but it's a good time to be part of the bank. Our areas of focus is not very different from what you guys already saw here before. Our people strategy, it's really HR, people. There's attraction, skills, career growth, performance, but we have this fragile context approach. I just wanted to share what it means for us. That means how do we operate in those countries, in those areas that are fragile, where there's hardship, for example, like Haiti right now, where we actually have a war taking place. So how do we make sure that our operations can continue? How can we continue improving lives in Latin America and the Caribbean, even in such adverse environments? That people strategy was very structured, like the process to get there. It was a lot of consultation with stakeholders, a lot of focus groups, a lot of interviews, make sure that we're capturing. So the diagnosis of what's not working so well, it's really, really well structured. And the people strategies give us the framework to start working on the future that we want to build. We don't have that in details yet, but that's the part of the journey that we are going through right now. Rethink HR, they asked me to bring that to the competition. Like they said, like bring a competitive approach here, Adriano. Show us how we're winning against the competition. We kind of don't really have competition in the sense of the private sector, but we do compete in many different areas. So I'm just gonna bring some metrics here that can be interesting for you to have a look. And I'm gonna challenge the metrics as well. So let's start with the first one, which is our turnover. So if you look there, compared to the benchmark of the financial banking industry, so for every 100 people turning over, our turnover is only 38% of that. It's a pretty low turnover. So that's really great, right? No, it depends, guys. The answer in HR is always, it depends. Never answer yes. Of course, it's great because we want to keep our best talents. We want to retain our people and so on. But it's only good if you want to retain people. If you are in the process of really refreshing the organization or trying to bring new ideas, sometimes turnover can be a good thing as well, right? So that's why I thought I'm going to be challenging assumptions here just for us to have the unstructured, organic conversations flowing. But we're happy with that. We're very happy with that. We have very good long-term incentives for our people to stay with us. Offer acceptance rate, that's really super high. Our offer acceptance rate right now is actually 97.8%. So that means that for each offer, so literally when we offer, we are very confident that our candidates will accept that offer. And why is that? Is it that good? It depends, right? It's good. But it depends, because it could be that we are overpaying, right? So if everyone is accepting the offers that we're making right now, that could be the case. But that's not the case, actually, because we always start with the minimum of our salary scale. We have a salary scale that is transparent. And most of the times we end there. So we hire at the minimum. I think it's the IKEA effect, actually. You guys here, I don't know if in Europe it's very common. You have a house, you're going to buy furniture from IKEA. I don't know if you guys had the experience of buying furniture from IKEA. IKEA is not sponsoring Rethink, right? Okay. IKEA, you buy the furniture. It looks great in the website and it's amazing. It's not the highest quality furniture, but it looks good, Scandinavian, good design and stuff. You buy it. When you receive it, you receive wood planks. And you receive some screws and some tiny pieces to put the wood planks and screws together. So that's the furniture. So you put a lot of work there. And in the end, your neuroscience explains that you're pretty proud of the work that you've done. And then you're happy with your furniture. So that's the secret sauce of IKEA. So I think our recruitment right now is kind of like that. So it gives you a form. And you have to put your CV in the form. And then after having that, when you receive the offer, we are very proud of the work that you've done, so you accept that offer. Of course, I'm joking. We are working on a lot of improvements in our recruitment process. We work with Textio. We work with gender-neutral language. We're improving the candidate experience as well as part of our journey. And we have a Glassdoor index of 4.1 out of 5. Of course, it depends. It's okay-ish. We're happy with that in some areas, but not in all areas. We have discrepancies on different types of contracts that we have internally. If you're a consultant, you're treated in a specific way. If you're a staff, you're treated a different way. And we're going to be working on improving that as well. So the competition, what makes us really different from the other banks out there? Of course, we're not a private sector bank, as I mentioned before. And this is the core of our people strategy, very HR-ish, basically explaining why we work for that place, what you get by working with us, and how you grow inside our organization. So now it's our job to turn that to life, like to bring that to life, right? So that's the work that we are undergoing right now. I can tell two main things that are very different from other organizations and organizations that I worked before. One of them is actually the feeling of purpose that I said that is really genuine. We don't have to put efforts. If you are from Latin American, Caribbean, and you know the issues that the region has, and you see the impact that the work you're doing is having in your communities, for your families, for your friends, it's very straightforward. But the second one, it's a very human need that we have. That is the community. The community inside the IDB, it's something very powerful and strong. Like when I moved from Europe here, we were still having the impacts of COVID, for example. So my furniture took 4 months to arrive from Amsterdam to Washington, D.C. And in the meantime, the amount of support that I received from colleagues offer me even forks. Do you need a bed? Do you need a mattress? What do you need? How can I help you, Adriano? Professionally and personally, the sense of community, the sense of becoming part of a family, if you wish, it's very strong there, and I think that helps as well with the tenure that we have, the long-term tenure moving forward. I'm going to touch very human topics here, like as a business partner, as I said, in between HR and the business, it's important for us to understand people, stakeholder management. Activision Blizzard, they shared how important it is. You can have all the data in the world, and you can have the right decision, but if the stakeholders are not part of that and don't feel that they are part of that, it becomes very challenging. Our structure starts, this is a very overly simplified structure of our bank. Starting with the Board of Governors. The Board of Governors, they are actually usually ministers of economy or minister of finance from countries, and they oversee the entire big picture policy and strategy for the bank. We have the Board of Executive Directors that sit there in-house in Washington, D.C. with us, and they meet weekly to make decisions. And we have our CEO, as I mentioned before, was changed last November. And our structure, our operational structure, is basically 3 pillars. The pillar in the middle, Vice President of Finance Administration, is a pillar of corporate stuff. So these are my clients, corporate. So all the vertical line in the middle, these are my client groups. And we have the Vice Presidents of countries and Vice Presidents of sectors and knowledge, which kind of operates like a matrix. So we have a lot of people, experts in a specific country, let's say Brazil. I don't know why I chose Brazil, but like, let's go with Brazil. And you have experts in sectors. Think of education, think of health, think of infrastructure. So they work together in a matrix structure to find the best solutions for the needs we have. Staff members love that, right? Because if they want to get a top on the performance management process, they need to have 2 supervisors giving them a top, so they have to work harder in the matrix structure. So there's always challenges with these approaches as well. But why am I mentioning here governance? I'm mentioning governance because if you really want to translate strategy into people strategy, HR jargon, and our language, employee propositions, value propositions, you name it, into something that adds value to your business, you need to understand what the business really need. And for that, we have very old-fashioned kind of traditional tools that are very helpful. There's one tool that probably most of you already used before, that it's very powerful, which is the stakeholder mapping, right? Which of you have never done a stakeholder mapping here, like with the axis, really like what is the interest and what is the other axis that we have? Interest, influence in the process. So you try to map those to see how you act. If you do that really well, it really has an impact. And now with Agile and the new ways of moving forward with projects, sometimes we forget to do the basics, but it's very important to understand that stakeholders, they are people, they have influence, they have perception of how things should go, and we need to take that into consideration. And then a little bit of technology. HR technology helps business to make decisions. We saw that over and over here. We are blooming in the world of HR technology, right? There's so much data available right now, so much technology, so much to explore. Staff engagement a couple of years ago started like, now we can kind of predict how it's really going to work because of the engagement of our people. So that's why we are undergoing our process of digital transformation because, can I move back? I think I can, right? Oh yeah. So one of the reasons why, as I mentioned before, we have 3 main projects happening right now: HR people strategy, digital transformation. And the digital transformation works, it's happening in many different fronts. First of all, we want to improve how we use technology as a whole for the entire organization. In our HR department, we are also undergoing our own digital transformation to take advantage of all the tools and all the capabilities that are now available. And for the region as well, one of the pillars to help our region, Latin America and the Caribbean, is to improve the digital infrastructure as well, so we can provide better services to more people in a more efficient way. So the digital transformation pillar is very important to us. Culture, mechanisms, processes, technology, and data. Where is the most challenging part of that? Where is the resistance? Culture, right? The people aspects of it again, right? We can have the data, and there's a lot of work to have meaningful data. Right now we have 89 dashboards, 89 HR dashboards with metrics that are relevant for our decision-making process. So it's a lot. We have technology. Of course, there are many challenges that were brought here before. We have the process in place, but the culture is just hard. It's because it's really how we adapt to the technologies that are available to us and to all the challenges that actually remain human. Let me share something with you just to have a reflection here on zooming out a little bit, because we're talking a lot about what's happening right now in the world of technology, the new trends. When I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking like, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to do it for me. I'm gonna bring it, show how awesome it is. But that was in December. Now ChatGPT is 4.0 and it's old. Microsoft, Google, everyone is already like, the competition is there. So it's too fast, right? So let's zoom out and start millions of years ago to see how technology has evolved and how technology will be helping us and what is the thread putting us together here. Basic technology, right? 3 million years ago, we start to stamp. We start to use some basic tools. 1 million years to get there. We start to speak and we start having social interactions. That's in a space of millions of years. Then, it started to speed up, like the technology adoption started to just grow in speed. And here, what you can see probably is a little bit hard to read, but it's the literate and illiterate world population, how many people are able to read and properly, starting in 1800, going to 2016. So you can see like the big increase on the adoption of the technology of reading, right? And then a lot of other technologies start to shape how work happens. What we have here is kind of a hard to read graph as well, but you have the big blue part here in the left side is basically how much share of total employment was brought by agriculture in 1850 and how it is right now. So you see like the total employment is very low compared to what we had before, right? And you have a lot of sectors that basically didn't exist 150 years, 200 years ago, such as education, government, healthcare. All these developments, they are a result of adoption of technologies, right? So technology has been evolving really quickly over and over again. But this is the graph that I like the most. So that's a more recent one, basically bringing to you the growth of some specific companies over the last decades. And you see how technology has really sped up how you can do business globally. You have Walmart, right? So you have the growth of Walmart starting in 1973. It grows well and now it starts to slow down. But then you have the red line, Taobao. Taobao is the Chinese company you probably know by the name Alibaba. So it's basically the e-commerce that was the level of growth of a company like that, unthinkable. In 20 years to grow from 0 to 9 million online merchants is something very overwhelming, mind-blowing, and never seen before in the history of adoption of technology, right? So technology is here. I think we're going through another revolution when it comes to the adoption of technology. Before, technology was helping other types of work, and now technology is here to help us with office work, right? So now we have augmented capacity for stuff that we do sitting doing our Excel spreadsheets, right? So now we have augmented reality helping to automate how you type and so on. Before we had that with machines for other types of work, but we're living in the middle of the automation of offices as well. But what hasn't changed at all during all these times for organizations? Like what all organizations had in common, and they keep having in common, challenges that they will have to overcome, issues that they're going to have to address, and there's no way out. And I think 1,000 years from now, they're still not going to have a way out. What are the challenges? Basic human stuff, right? Basic human interactions. We are becoming extremely sophisticated with the technologies that we use, the metaverse, to create basic human feelings, right? So the world has become so complex, and we're trying to use all the technologies that are available right now to bring back the human parts of that, which is kind of like a contradiction. So it blows my mind to think that we're trying to create that experience of seeing San Diego like this in a metaverse. But this is what's happening right now. So back to the work of business partners between HR and the business. What does that mean? That the issues of being human beings are going to remain relevant for what we do, regardless of the adoption of technology that is going to happen today or in 1,000 years from now. So I just want to bring that perspective to us, because we zoom in a lot on what we're working on right now when it comes to technology, but we should not forget that the human aspects of work, they're going to remain. And what are the human aspects of work? I think Barack Obama had an interview that became very famous, where he shared, like, once you go up, you think that the issues you face, they're going to become more sophisticated, more complex, and very challenging. But in the reality, you just play in a different league and with different people trying to solve basic human needs. Like, for example, respect, or power, or social interactions that make you feel proud, or being part of the community, right? DEI, now with the belonging, what is the belonging that we're bringing to the DEI frameworks right now? It's really becoming human again in organizations. So one of the things that I wanted to bring to you with the presentation is exactly that. We have to benefit from the technology that is here to help us to do more, to augment our capabilities, otherwise we lose behind. But we should not forget that in the end, the most complex topics that are going to have in organizations moving forward, they're going to remain human by nature. Make sense? Yes. Is it making sense? Do you guys agree? Yes. Yeah? Is it still making sense? I was very concerned with this because we are in a Rethink HR Tech, right? And I was like, if I start talking about human stuff here, people are going to freak out a little bit. So how do you do that? How do you deal with the human complexities of organizations in a world of expanding technology, with volatility, with uncertainty? How do you do that? I don't have the answer yet. Don't look at me, I don't have the answer. But it's the complexity of life. It's really like how do we interact in communities, how we interact with others. We have to find ways to make it work. And back to the word of business partners, it means understanding what your stakeholders need from a professional perspective, what are the goals they're trying to achieve, but also understanding what are their personal objectives as well. What makes Felipe proud? What makes Felipe happy? What's going to trigger that within him so that he can perform the best, where he can agree that Romania is not the best place to put my next hub. And I stop here. I just wanted to, as I said, a little bit of unstructured presentation, a little bit of technology, how technology has been evolving. It's going to keep evolving, but the human challenges that we currently have, they're going to remain. And that's how I believe we're going to bring our people strategy to the business, to reality. But really mapping our stakeholders, understanding what they need, monitoring really closely, and building the human relationships to make it happen. Thank you so much.
Any questions? In the back. Yeah. Thank you, Adriano. And I think it's very much in line with the different presentations, because Since the first presentation from Walter, the idea of creating the experiences and using technology to be human, I think you have articulated it very well. And yes, I agree, that's the challenge. I was reading a book that is written by Gallup about well-being, and they were mentioning how important it is to create these experiences. And for example, there is a question in the engagement survey of Gallup to have best friends at work. That in my organization and in many other organizations, they complain and they say, no, we're not here to have friends. What are you measuring with that? And the research, the empirical evidence says that when you have friends at work and a best friend, you can be who you are and you have more support. You can create psychological safe environments. And the book also presents the case of Singapore that were very successful, but people were only work and no fun. And the government understood that, and they made a change in order to regulate more the labor laws, in order to provide more the balance. And now the country is improving a lot. So yes, the challenges are human. Thank you.
Thank you. You made me think of a conversation that I had with a friend of mine actually about the human thing. Like I was having a conversation with a friend last year about war. Like I was saying like, how can it be that after all of that, all that progress, a million years of progress on living together, we're still trying to solve the issues that we have using this, right? So how can it be? It's a human interaction, right? So it's again like it's back to the basics. Like some of the things of being human, they unfortunately never change. So these are the challenges that we have to keep fighting, that we have to keep resilience to make sure that we're going to keep improving and moving in the right direction. But in the end, we are human beings. We want to be respected. We want to have good interactions at work, at home, with my wife. When she's sleeping, my son starts crying. Who's going to get there? So who has the power? So all these relationships, they take place everywhere. We cannot underestimate that.
Adriano, thank you so much.
Thank you.